You ready?
Hey, listen!
Get some.
Yeah.
Hey, listen!
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Lawrence's Let's Plays. Today I'm bringing to you my picks for the top 5 marksmen in the game. To my return viewers, thanks so much for your continued support, and if you're new to the channel, thank you as well for stopping by. Guys, do like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to help my channel to grow. Nothing really left to say. My name is Lawrence, and let's play. So let's jump right in on here. First off, let's go and roll to the marksman. And I will say that my list may come across as controversial. I welcome any comments from you guys. By all means, leave me a comment on my channel. If you felt like my order could have been changed, maybe someone you felt was a little bit better could be put in a higher position, or maybe even if I left someone out. I certainly welcome your comments and look forward to seeing what you guys have to say about this list. But let's start. First and foremost, she's darkened out. I don't have her. I tried to summon for her, did not get her. The number one marksman in this game, by far and away, and a lot of people would argue is the best hero in the game, is Hatsit. There's no comparison. And when I go over the statistics and kind of go over damage calculations with you guys, you'll see why no one touches Hatsit. It's that simple. All the 4 remaining marksmen in my list are excellent in their own right. They're all really, really good, but Hatsit's just on a whole nother level. You just can't mess with Hatsit. Let's go and look at her hero details. As far as her max level, max 60, 3795 plus 50 bonus attack. It's not very high, actually. You'll see a lot of the other marksmen actually start out with the higher base attack, but she more than makes up for the amount of damage she does. So let's go in here. First off, her basic. Physical attack, attacks 2 times, dealing 50% damage to the target, 20% damage to one nearby enemy with each hit. So not AoE, but multi-hit. Fully skilled goes up to a 10% increase. So then the 50% becomes 60 to the first 2 targets, so 120% damage. And the single target, 20%, goes to 30% damage to one nearby enemy. Decent, little bit of damage, not great, but it'll do. But here's one of the things that makes her amazing. Ghastly Burst. Starting rage cap, or rather max rage cap of 900, initial rage of 500, duration of 3 seconds, deals damage to up to 5 enemies nearby, dealing 180% AoE damage every 0.3 of a second, lasting for 3 seconds. I will be the first to admit, and as you can see in the little window there, just how nuts this alt is, the amount of damage she does. But I'll be the first to admit I'm not the best at math. I never have been, won't ever claim to be. I'm an English guy. But that math is pretty easy to figure out. I did the damage calculations, and on 0.3 of a second, the closest you can get to a second is timesing that by 3. So she is doing that 3 times, 180% AoE damage every second. So with that being said, that's a lot of damn damage. However, let's look at her skills and see how much even crazier this damage becomes. Damage increase at level 2, 10%. Damage increase at level 2, 10%. Damage increase at level 4, 10%. 2, 3, and 4, 10%. Damage increase at level 5, 20%. So that is another 50% bonus damage to 180% AoE against the 5 units every second, 3 times every second. So 230 times 3 is 690% AoE damage. With her fully kitted out, with her alt, you see at the very bottom, she gets a duration increase to this of 1 second. So if you times that damage by 4 times, that is 2,760% AoE damage with just an A0 Hatsit. 2,760% damage over the course of a 4-second span. Also, let's go back into her alt and let's look at some other things. Initial rage plus 40, so instead of 500, she's at 540 at level 2. Skill cost minus 100 at level 2. Now the max rage is actually 800. Initial rage plus 60. Now we're up to 600. And then the final one, level 5, skill cost minus 100. So she's reduced her skill cost down to 700, and her initial rage is 600. That means she only has to build up to 100 more rage to activate this ult again, which is absolutely crazy for the amount of damage that she does. Now let's look at Soul Torment passive. Attack bounces up to bounces to one more target with the damage of each bounce increased by 5%. Each enemy hit also suffers from defense reduction, which reduces their defense, I believe, by 10% for 10 seconds. You get a splash damage increase. I'm not going to go over all this stuff. Just know that that's actually really good as well. And this one is pretty nasty as well. This passive, when deployed, gains invisibility for 20 seconds. Meanwhile, each kill increases attack by 5%, stacking up to 5 times and lasting for 8 seconds. Now, I will go into this in a little bit more detail. You see invisibility duration plus 5, plus 5, plus 5, plus 5. So she can start the battle out when you deploy her invisible for 50 seconds. Cannot be targeted for 50 seconds. And she can stack that up. The duration goes up another 2 seconds. So for the first 10 seconds of that, she can boost her attack up to an additional 25%. Stupid. It's just stupid how strong she is. Her awakenings, the first one, soul drain plus 5%, okay, a little bit of damage boost, attack plus, okay, whatever. Ghastly stealth duration, now it can be 60 seconds that she'll be invisible. That's pretty good. Penetration plus 8% is always good, defensive penetration. And then the last one, ghastly burst duration, adds another second to her ult, which I just jumped out and didn't mean to do that. Let's try that again. So that adds another second to her ult. So an A5 hats it, 609% damage per those intervals I spoke of. Now she's doing it every 5 seconds, so that becomes 3,450% AoE damage on a max rage cap of 700 and a starting rage of 600. That is absolutely bonkers. She is amazing in all content. You can use her in everything. The reviews do not lie. You can look here and see her reviews, 4.9, 4.9, 4.9, tied, arena. I mean, these, I know a lot of people will get a hero and just rate them and be like, oh, this hero is amazing, this hero is amazing. And then you realize they're not as amazing as you initially thought. But yeah, these absolutely do not lie. Hatsit, by far and away, number one. There's absolutely no comparison. Now, second place for me is going to be my most recently acquired hero, who I did not get from the Captain Reef banner. I just pulled him today. I had 3 legendary summoning crystals, and on the second one I got my man Razak. So happy that I got him, and he is my second pick. And why is he my second pick? For one reason, if you look at his max stats to start at level 60, 4,017 plus the 50, he's a very high damage. His attack interval sucks at 3.5, so I would strongly suggest that you are putting some attack speed on him to reduce his attack interval so he's able to attack faster. But why is he so good? 100% AoE damage to multiple enemies. We're going to take that up to 120%. AoE on his basic. His ult is ridiculously disgusting. Look at the tentacles in the little window there. I love that animation with the octopus tentacles, and he just smacks, man. He just kills everything. Look at this. Whack! 700% damage to enemies in range, goes up to 1,000%, and skill cost minus 100. So he's another one where I'm getting his skill cost down to 100 points, so 800 with an initial rage of 700. He's getting to his ult pretty damn quick, and that's a lot of damage. Soul Surge passive after Ocean's Clutch ends enhances this hero's talent, increasing the generation chance of soul-eating fish upon each attack by 20% and its quantity by 2. This effect lasts for 12 seconds. You see the trigger chance can go up to an additional 20%, so now it becomes a 40% chance that he's going to produce these soul-eating fish. What do soul-eating fish do? Attack one enemy with the highest HP percentage remaining, doing 200% damage, which is really cool because it kind of gives him like an assassin kind of skill there. Reminds me of assassin builds and other gacha games I've played. Attacking the enemy with the highest attack. Within 15 seconds of deployment, each kill generates 2 soul-eating fish. Afterward, triggers 1 time every 30 seconds, and that can be reduced to triggering those 2 soul-eating fish, attacking the enemy with the highest HP, minus 20 seconds, so every 10 seconds. Nasty. Just nasty. It's got really good range too, as you see on the screen here. And another reason why I'm rating him number 2 is because of his passive. This additional passive, I should say, XP obtained through battle is increased by 5%. That in alone is awesome, because we know that, you know, getting a boost to XP and gold is a big issue in this game. We want as much XP and gold as possible. Also, obtain Hero Captain Reeve to unlock the following bonus effect. XP obtained through battle is increased by an additional 5%. So, although it's dependent on also having Captain Reeve, if you have Captain Reeve, just shoots him to the stratosphere, in my opinion, to second place. Even just the 5% that he gains on his own passive, but the fact that if you have Captain Reeve, now you're getting an XP potion boost of 10% throughout the game, through the different content, is fantastic. So, yeah, that's really, really good. Again, I would strongly suggest that you're building him, reducing his attack interval, so you want to put a little bit of attack speed on him to reduce his interval. Now, here's where we'll probably have a controversial pick. And if you watched my last video, you'll know who this hero is. This is the hero that I think is the most slept on hero in the game, as definitely in her class, and probably one of the most slept on heroes, maybe the most slept on hero in the game that is way better than people realize, and that is Nyx. Why is Nyx so good? Well, let's go in and let's find out. Let's look at her hero details. First off, she also has a really high base attack, 4,084 plus the 50 through promotions. At level 60, 4,084 plus the 50. Again, downside to Nyx, attack interval is 3.5 seconds. I'm not a big fan of that, so you're going to want to reduce her attack interval by raising up her attack speed. I've got mine with an additional plus 150 speed, which reduced her attack interval to just shy of 2.5 seconds. So, why is Nyx so good? Because attack one enemy dealing AoE damage equal to 100% attack, prioritizes airborne units. That's standard fare for a marksman. So AoE damage, she attacks one enemy, but it's AoE damage, and it goes up to 120%. Now, spinning Fireblade alt. After attacking an enemy, deals AoE damage equal to 60% of attack 3 times for 20 seconds. Skill cost minus 100 at level 2, initial rage plus 100. So you're reducing the max rage to 1,000. Her rage goes up to 500. AoE damage plus 5%. Effect duration plus 5 seconds. Skill cost minus 100. Initial rage plus 100. AoE damage plus 10%. Effect duration plus 5 seconds. So, you are actually going to raise this up. AoE damage 5. AoE damage 10. Another 15%. So that's 75% AoE damage. Attacking 3 times for a total of, add another 10 seconds, that's 30 seconds. And I do realize that the damage calculations I did in the previous video, I will have to redact that and say that I did make a mistake. I looked at her ult and the amount of times she was able to attack, and I realized in the 20 seconds, it's 8 times. If you were to add the additional 10 seconds, divide 8 by 2 and get 4. So she's actually attacking about 12 times. So at 12 times, her attacking, she's doing 2,700% AoE damage during that AoE skill duration. You're reducing the skill cost 2 times, so it goes down to 900. Her rage goes up twice to 600. So it's not bad. She has to build up 300 rage to be able to get to her ult again. But 225% damage times 12 attacks is 2,700%. However, keep in mind, the dagger returns to the caster's hand doing AoE damage equal to 30% of attack to enemies on the path, and that goes up an additional 40%, so that's another 70%. So then we're going to take the 70% damage when the dagger returns, times that by 12 attacks in that interval for the ult, and we're adding another 840% AoE damage. So we're at 3,540% AoE damage. And in A1 Nyx, if you go into her awakenings, A1 is big for her because it adds another 5 seconds. By my calculations, adding another 5 seconds would actually make her be able to attack with her ult 14 times. So 14 times is 3,150% AoE damage, plus 14 times with the bonus that she gets from this passive right here, with the dagger returning 70%, 70 times that additional 14 gives you another 980% AoE damage. That's 4,130% AoE damage. That's even more than Hatsit. However, it takes a lot longer. There's a much longer duration for her to actually do that kind of damage. But why I'm placing her second is because her damage can't be denied, and because she is absolutely fantastic, like a Hatsit, like a Razak, of clearing out waves. In Gear Raid 3, you could put her on the left side, you could put her on the right side. She is holding down either side and just murdering that side. Now, I do want to say an important caveat here as we continue the list. You'll notice that the first three that I picked is all about AoE. I think in order to be a top marksman, AoE has got to be one of the priorities. Because in this game, excuse me, yes, you deal with bosses, absolutely. But there's no such thing as taking on any part of the campaign and there'd be 17 bosses, right? What you have to deal with consistently is mobs and the ads and them trying to overrun you, whether that be whether that be air units or whether that be ground-based units. So I'm always going to rate, or I'm going to these first three, rather I should say, are rated very highly because of the damage they can produce, how quickly they can get to their ults, and also because they are producing AoE damage. Or in the case of Hatsit, she is hitting multiple targets on her basic, but that's not AoE. However, my fourth pick is going to be a little different. My fourth pick is Silas. And I know you guys are probably thinking to yourself, why not pick Setram? Because Setram's producing AoE like on his ult. Silas is only producing single target damage. However, I will say this. Without really even going into Silas's kit, Silas, for single target damage, I don't know if another marksman can touch his single target damage. I don't believe that they can. I use Silas in like Gear Raid 3, for instance, and the amount of damage and how quickly on almost a single ult he can nuke down the Zilla boss is just stupid. And also, he is actually really good at helping to clear waves. Even though he's not AoE, he still does a ridiculous amount of damage. So let's go into Silas's kit. Let's look at his hero details. 3,778 plus 50 at max level 60. Again, he's kind of low, but his attack interval is very high at 2 seconds. Or very low, I should say. He attacks very quickly. So, deal 100% damage to one enemy, prioritizing airborne units. That goes to 120. His ult damage increases by 60%, and each attack becomes soul sniping that ignores the defense and magic resistance of the target for 15 seconds. I want to point out how important that is, because there's one thing about getting defense reduction and ignoring 10% of the defense. Notice that it doesn't say anything about a percentage that he's bypassing. He's just bypassing their defense and their magic resistance, period, for 15 seconds. The damage increases 70, 80, up to 80%, and the effect duration can last an additional 5 seconds, and the skill cost will get reduced to 100, so 900, and his rage being 500. I do wish that he had a rage boost that it would enable him to get to his ult a little bit sooner. If a unit within attack range dies, increases damage by 30% for 10 seconds. This effect can be triggered up to 1 time every 20 seconds, and this can go up to another 10% damage, so increases his damage by 40%, and also increases the effect trigger chance by another 5 seconds. So it can, or reduces it rather, so it could be every 15 seconds. After attacking the main target for 5 seconds, inflicts Eye of Curse upon the target for 8 seconds. Eye of Curse will be triggered only 1 time every 20 seconds. Soul Sniping will deal 50% extra damage to targets with Eye of Curse. And, last but not least, obtain Hero Vierna the Wraith Queen, or the Wraith Queen, to unlock the following bonus effect. During the effect of Shadow Cloak, Soul Sniping deals 100% extra damage. So, again, that is dependent on having Vierna, which I do have Vierna, but I do rate him extremely high even without Vierna. But with Vierna, doing another 100% damage when he casts his ult, this Shadow Cloak is just stupid. Like, the amount of damage that he produces is just absolutely bonkers for a single target damage dealer. So Silas is absolutely my pick for number 4. And coming in at number 5 is Setram. Setram is amazing. I love Setram. I was fortunate enough to pull a double Cetrum during the rate up event with Cetrum included. I actually pulled 2 Cetrums in one 10 pull, which was just bonkers, which I absolutely loved because his first awakening just makes him so much better. So here's why Cetrum is so good. I keep going to info. His max level is stupid high. 4788 plus the 50 at max level 60. But what really makes Cetrum so good? 100% damage to one enemy, it goes to 120. But switches to Fortress Stance and increases attack range for 15 seconds during the skill. Constantly bombards targets with continuous attacks that deal 25% damage, and it looks so cool. It's such a cool animation. And gradually increases attack speed. Enter Overloaded when reaching the attack speed limit. Self-repair after 10 seconds. Self-repair can be reduced to 8 seconds. Overload damage increase can go up to 10, another 20. So we're looking at 45% damage instead for overloaded. Or rather, consumes energy and increases damage by 50. Actually, increases his damage by 70 when he's overloaded after he goes through his little cooldown or whatever. Increases all damage by 10%. Shielded targets take 30% extra damage. This is the one thing that just makes him bonkers insane against especially a single target like Guild Boss. Like, he instantly makes your Guild Boss team better. It's that simple. If you have Cetrum, your Guild Boss team just got 100% better. Especially if you have an A1 like I do. I was fortunate enough to get. Shield targets take 30% extra damage. Damage increase plus 10, so there's 12% damage increase. Plus another 3, so there's 15% damage increase. But here's the big thing. Extra damage dealt to shielded targets 10. Extra damage dealt to shielded targets 10 at level 3 and level 5. So that is 50% extra damage to an enemy with a shield. And as we know with the Guild Boss puts his shield up after he casts his like Scorching Breath. Scorching like Fire Breath. So you're able to just melt a shield so ridiculously quick. When the hero attacks one target multiple times, increases crit rate by 1%, crit damage by 2, each time for 4 seconds. The effect can stack up to 15 times. Effect duration goes up, maximum stacks go up as well. Now if you look at his A1, when entering the Fortress Stance, grants buff for up to 2 allies with the highest current attack within range. Deals 30% more damage to enemy units with shields lasting for 15 seconds. So, a fully kitted out, I gotta stop doing that, a fully kitted out manual for him already bumps up, I'm sorry, not, wrong thing, the passive rather, maxed out 50% extra damage to shielded targets. But, if you also have his awakening, add another 30%. So he can do 80% additional damage to any enemy that has a shield. So he absolutely murders Guild Boss. But here is why I chose to put him last. And I just jumped out again like a dummy. Why would I put him last? And the reason why is because although he does hit really fast and he hits really, really hard, I chose Silas over him because Silas doesn't have a time where he's just not attacking enemies. He's always going to attack. And I've built my Silas where he's even faster, so he is attacking quite fast. So whenever you finish the alt with Cetrum, he is going to be in a cooldown period. This is where the self-repair time, you reduce it by 2 seconds. But that's 8 seconds. For 8 seconds, you'll see on the battlefield, he breaks down. And you see like sparks and stuff coming off him. He can't do anything. So for 8 seconds, he is absolutely useless. He cannot do anything until he comes back up, and then he gets the overloaded where he gets the increased attack damage and stuff. And that's great. But for 8 seconds, he can't do anything. And this is a game that's really decided by seconds. It can take a second or 2 seconds for you to make a mistake and realize, oh, I just let that enemy get to my crystal and now I can't 3-star this stage. So any unit that for 8 seconds just can't attack, I can't place higher on this list. So I do place him 5th because he is great against air-based units. He's going to do great against ground-based units, and he absolutely makes your Guild Boss team 100% better when you get him. It's that simple. He is a Guild Boss beast. And that is my list, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I highly look forward to your comments to let me know what you thought about my list, the order that I placed the heroes, if I've maybe left someone out. Actually, I do want to say something before I go. People are probably going to wonder, well, what about Maul? The thing is, yes, Maul is really, really good, and I have Maul. Maul is awesome. I love him as a marksman. However, the reality is this: all of my top 5 are legendaries, and they're always going to be legendaries because there's not going to be a time that I can ever see that a epic of any character class is going to outshine a legendary. They're just not. The stats are just never going to be as high as a legendary. It's that simple. I love Maul. He is a great AoE damage dealer as well. Same could be said about Tariel. Her unlimited range. I have an A5 Tariel who is amazing with being able to kill an enemy anywhere on the screen. And every time she kills an enemy, she's able to increase the duration of her ult by an additional 3 seconds. Is absolutely bonkers. So those are 2 kind of honorable mentions. They're great marksmen, and I use them quite a bit, but they're never going to be able to outclass a legendary. It's that simple. So that's my list. Like I said, I look forward to your comments and seeing what you guys have to say about my list. I appreciate the hell out of each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for your support of my channel. Do consider subscribing to the channel, as I'm consistently bringing out more and more Watcher Realms content on a daily basis, as this, again, is my channel's main focus. Also, ring the notification bell. Turn that bad boy on so that way you'll know exactly when I'm putting up new videos. Nothing really left to say. My name is Lawrence. This has been Lawrence's Let's Plays, and I am out of here. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you real soon.